You know, the first time I ever melted bismuth is only the second substance I've ever seen where a solid can float on top of a liquid, the other one obviously being water. And it occurred to me the possibility of there being an alien planet where bismuth is the main solvent and you have oceans of bismuth and icebergs of bismuth crystals just floating on top of there. You can only imagine what kind of crystals are floating on there, right? And you could have alien life, maybe even alien life that has life expectancies on the order of 2 times 10 to the 19 years, right? So as they age, they become radioactive. Or, since we're in space, it could be that the background neutron radiation could also activate bismuth and turn it into polonium, right? That could be a major source of background radiation for some of these aliens, causing mutations, which creates the diversity of life, right? After all, diversity here on Earth is also caused by background radiation, right? So on another planet, it could be, obviously they'd have to have life expectancies on the order of 2 times 10 to the 19 years, right? Now the reason that water is the main solvent on Earth is because the temperatures and pressures here on Earth are near the triple point of water. And so if we look up the triple point of bismuth, where liquids, solids, and gases converge, you would need a temperature of about 400 some Kelvin. So a little bit under what I get in my melting pot, right? About the temperature, a little bit over the temperature of boiling water, but a little bit under what it takes to melt bismuth at 1 atmospheric pressure, right? But you need much higher pressures, right? 15 to 20. Imagine going hundreds of feet underwater, right? That kind of pressure in order to have the triple point of bismuth. Or imagine going to Venus, right? Which is what crushed a lot of our early rovers up on Venus. And I can only imagine what life would look like up there, right? You would arrive on that planet and there might be a thick atmosphere of bismuth vapors. And, you know, the first time I melted bismuth, I mistakenly thought the odor of melting bismuth was bismuth vapor. I got very concerned about the effects of inhaling it, but then I learned the vapor pressure isn't that high. It turns out I was mistaken. The smell you get from melting bismuth is coming from our skin touching it, right? So you're literally smelling barbecue human when you melt bismuth. And so what's really interesting is sometimes I show people what I'm doing and they touch the bismuth and I melt it. It has a very different aroma to it depending on the person's body odors. So it's not really bismuth vapor that I was inhaling. Got a little concerned when I first started doing it because I know mercury vapor is not good for you. I thought it would have similar effects, but it wasn't the vapor I was smelling. But you would descend into this thick cloud where you would accumulate pressure, and then you would arrive at the ocean and you would have icebergs floating in it, and you'd have aliens who, I don't know, they would have to have a body made of maybe bismuth with other metals alloyed into it, right? I don't know what bismuth really alloys with. And obviously to them, some of the molecules that we are accustomed to would be very toxic to them, right? So for example, oxygen, right? Reacts with bismuth at those high temperatures and pressures. But I could only imagine just going on a boat ride on bismuth, right? Your boats could be made of stainless steel, right? Steel doesn't really dissolve in bismuth, and of just collecting crystals of during the ride, right? I can only imagine. I bet such a planet probably does exist in the universe, just given how big it is, right?